Could you describe in detail a particular scenario or incidents where you utilized your own philosophy on leadership? It could be personal or professional, kind of where you practice what you preach, if you will.
Yeah. You know, when I was growing up, Mom and Dad used the old McGuffey readers. These were books that were used in the schools.
Okay.
Mid 1800s on up into the 1900s, substantially along, and they had stories in them. And Mom and Dad used these stories very often to teach us something. One story that I remember vividly was called "Stick to Your Bush." Had to do with two young men. They were getting ready to go out and pick blackberries. And one of the fathers called his son aside and said, "Now look, son," said, "when you get to the blackberry vines," said, "don't just grab the big ripe ones and then run to the next vine." Said, "Stay at that vine until you've picked every ripe berry off the vine." And that's what the boy did. That day, the two boys went out and they picked berries, and one boy ran from bush to bush, just picking the big berries, getting the big ones. The other one took his dad's advice and stuck to the bush till he got every ripe berry off. At the end of the day, the boy that stuck to his bush had his bucket full. The other guy who had run from bush to bush, just grabbing the big ones, only had a half a bucket full. When I started teaching in New York, I got put in charge of the debate team at Newburgh Free Academy in Newburgh, and it came debate tournament time, and finally the state finals, and the state finals was held at my high school, so I was in charge. Didn't mean to be, but but there I was. My brother Paul called me. This was in 1963. My brother Paul called me and said, "Lee, Dad is dying." Said, "If you want to see him, you got to come home now. You can't wait." And I said, "Paul, this may sound awful," but I said, "I'm in charge of the New York State debate tournament, and I feel an obligation to stay here." I said, "Of course, if Dad dies, I'll come home. But," I said, "I've got to stay and finish this tournament." And Paul went and told my father what my situation was. Dad sent me a message.
Okay.
Dad said to Paul, "Tell Lee to stick to his bush." And I knew exactly what that meant.
Oh, that's beautiful.
So Dad did die, but that was a moment that has always stuck with me.
It sounds like the relationship I have with my father, but that's another show.
Yeah.
We were like that. We could say one thing or a look, and we
And
had that kind of
connection.
connection. Oh, yeah, we were
connection.
symbiotic, even though we
Yeah.
were blood, but we had that bond.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that.
Incredible. Thank you.